In Acts 17:11 we read, "These were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind, and searched the Scriptures daily, whether those things were so." So without further ado, let's look into God's Word, the Bible.
Good morning. This is Devotional number 416, and today's date is March 5th, 2018. This week I thought we would take a look at the subject of grief. What does the Bible say about grief? Actually, the Bible has much to say about death, which of course is the penalty that God has assigned to sin, according to Romans 6:23a, which solemnly declares, "For the wages of sin is death." The Bible, however, also speaks of death for the true worshiper of Jesus Christ as a portal to an everlasting existence that the Bible describes as joy unspeakable. Today and throughout this week, I would like us to focus particularly on the process of grief and grieving that accompanies the death of a loved one, and what instruction the Bible might provide. In Genesis 23:2, we read about how Abram mourned and wept for his wife Sarah. And Sarah died in Kirjath Arba, the same as Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. The word for mourn is Strong's number 5594, and to weep is Strong's number 1058. The same two Hebrew words for mourning and weeping also appear in Ecclesiastes 3, verse 4. We read there, "A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance." Ecclesiastes 3:4 mentions a time, which is Strong's number 6256, 4 times. A time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance. And at the beginning of Ecclesiastes 3, in verse 1, we learn why this is so. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So we see that Abraham mourned and wept for his wife Sarah. And this process of grieving must take place. It is the time to weep. It is the time to mourn. The Bible does not indicate in this instance how long he grieved for his spouse, only that he did so. However, there are recorded instances in the Bible where a time frame for mourning is given. Here are just a few of them. Numbers 20:29 declares, that's Numbers 20:29, "And when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, they mourned for Aaron 30 days, even all the house of Israel." And we also read similarly in Genesis 49:33 to Genesis 50:1-11. "And when Jacob had made an end of commanding his sons, he gathered up his feet into the bed, and yielded up the ghost, and was gathered unto his people. And Joseph fell upon his father's face, and wept upon him, and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father, and the physicians embalmed Israel, or Jacob, and 40 days were fulfilled for him. For so are fulfilled the days of those which are embalmed. And the Egyptians mourned for him 70 days, or 70 days. And when the days of his mourning were past, Joseph spake unto the house of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found grace in your eyes, speak, I pray you, in the ears of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear saying, Lo, I die. In my grave which I have digged for me in the land of Canaan, there shalt thou bury me. Now therefore let me go up, I pray thee, and bury my father, and I will come again. And Pharaoh said, Go up, and bury thy father, according as he made thee swear. And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt, and all the house of Joseph and his brethren, and his father's house. Only their little ones and their flocks and their herds they left in the land of Goshen. And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great company. And they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond Jordan, and there they mourned with a great and very sore lamentation. And he made a mourning for his father 7 days. And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning in the floor of Atad, they said, This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians. Wherefore the name of it was called Abel Mizraim, which is beyond Jordan. Since a husband and wife are one flesh, according to Genesis 2:24, when one of them dies, a forcible separation takes place, leaving a great void within the surviving spouse's life, which necessitates a period of time for grieving. This, of course, would also be true of a parent-child relationship or between siblings or any very close friendship. For instance, in 2 Samuel 11:26-27, we find the account of Bathsheba's reaction to the death of her husband Uriah. And when the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah, her husband, was dead, she mourned for her husband. And when the mourning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife, and bare him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased Jehovah. The Hebrew word that is translated mourning in 2 Samuel 11:27, which is Strong's number 60, is also found twice in the following citation. Ecclesiastes 7:1-4 states, A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. The same word for house that appears 4 times in this passage also surfaces in Job 29:23, highlighting what unsaved man has to look forward to. For I know that thou wilt bring me to death, and to the house appointed for all the living. I think we'll stop here today, and Lord willing, we will continue looking at this subject of grief throughout this week.